As you know, my mitzvah is Tefillin. And ever since entering the world of the 30, the Yud Hey, I have a different perspective on everything. This morning I woke up in the middle of the night at 2:05 and started this at 2:07. I had this thing yesterday about the circle as being, two dimensions of that circle. And then I saw an interesting number that 30 minus 7 was 23, and 30 plus 7 was 37. So the strange thing is that the 30 minus 7 is the higher level of the soul, and the 30 plus 7 is the Yehida level of the soul. And so actually this appears within a circle itself, in a samak itself, as the two dimensions of the internal line of a circle and the external line when a pen makes a circle. And so these two 30s come together as 60, which is the samak. And they're comprised of 23 as the chaya and 37 as the yehida. This all comes together now when I woke up in the middle of the night. So when I'm wrapping my tefillin, I always saw that there's a 3 and then a 4. And this corresponds to the same division. Well, this is how I got into this. So I wake up in the middle of the night and I realize that the tefillin of the arm, which is done first and said with a bracha, is wrapped with the yud above the elbow. This yud is above the elbow, you see. And this above the elbow here with the yud relates to the yehida, because the yud is yehida, first letter of yehida, the yehida aspect of the soul. And then we go down from that, and then I saw, I do 3 wrappings, and then a space, and then 4 wrappings. Whoa. And this corresponds to the Shiva period. And then I realized that the elbow above relates to the Yehida, and that's the period when you go and you bury somebody. It's the time from their death until their burial. That's the Yehida aspect of the soul. And then you wrap 3 days. That's the higher aspect of the soul. And then there's a gap, because after the 3 days, you see, a lot of very religious people don't visit families for the first 3 days. In a certain sense, that's why? Because the higher is still there and they're in a lot of pain. So like my rabbi only comes after the 3rd day. So when you do the 3, that's the higher, then there's a gap. It's just like in music. When you do the major scale, you do C, D, E, and then a half step, there's a gap to the 4, which then go. That's 4. So it's C, D, E, gap, F, G, A, B, and then another gap. So when you do the 3, that's the higher. Then you wrap 4. Now that 4 continues with the 3 to make a 7. So it's this 4 more. That's the additional days that the neshama is there, because the neshama is there 7 days. So it's there with the Yehida for 3 days, with the Chaya for 3 days, and then alone for 3 days, with the other part, for 4 days. And so it's 7 days. So the whole thing of the Shiva period is on the arm. The first part is the Dalet, the Yud. The Yud is here. That's the Yehida that's put in before the grave. I mean, the grave ends the Yehida. Then the 3 days of the Nahaya, and then the finishing 7 days of the 4 days to make 7 days for the Neshama. And then you don't bind. You wrap up, but you don't bind the hand. And then you stand up, because you do this sitting down. Theoretically, it's in the Bria world. And that's why there's a bracha. And then you stand up. And you stand up and you put the tefillin on of the head. In a certain sense, these arm tefillins are the circular aspects of the circle worlds. And then you stand up and you put the head on, which is the linear aspects, like man, and like the, kundalini up the spine. But the arm is the circle world, the natural world, kind of like the physical world is the hands. And then the brain, you put the thing on the brain. Now this brain is a 2-part thing. It has shin of 3 here on the right, and a shin of 4 on the left. Again, mirroring the 3 and the 4 down here of the neshama and the Chaya. See? The Chaya, as the right brain, and it is the right brain, because the right brain in this aspect is Chokmah, and that is the Chaya. And then the left brain is Neshama. So it parallels that, but the 2 letters together spell Shesh, 6. So this 6 is the Vav. So we have a 6, but we had a Yud here on the arm, which is the Yehida, and the real connection, the part of the soul that's God in you. And the full din of Yud is Yud, Vav, Dalet. And so this Shin equals 6, which equals Vav. And it is a straight line. You have 3 straight lines. You have the straps, and you have the Shin, and it's the 3 lines of man. However, it's the Shin, meaning 6. These are the 6 Sephirot of Zir Anpin. And then in the back of the strap, you have the Dalet, and a double Dalet it is. The Dalet represents Malkus and Mem, and the final Sephirah, but it's a Dalet. It's a double Dalet, just like there's 2 Shins. And you make a double Dalet, and so it's a Dalet. So it's Yud, Shesh, and Shesh is 2 Shins, it's Vav, and then Dalet in the back. So you have a Yud. This Yud, by the way, in Gematria, in full Gematria, is is Yud Vav Dalet in full is 466, which is my brother's name, Shimon. And that's how I've received all this on this day. But the point is, so it's a Yud. And then you're still standing up and your hand isn't tied. You see? So no, the shin, by the way, the Yud, the shin of the head in this kind of mourning period that I'm expressing in represents the shins represent the six. They represent the next level, which is after the neshama is the ruach. And that comes now from the ruach, and then the mem, that's 30 days. The ruach is the 30-day period, which also parallels the Zelim period. So when you have a Sholoshim period, that's the Ruach level, and that's the two shins. And then comes the 11-month regular mourning period, the end of the 11 months, which is the Dalet in the back. That's the Nefesh. See? The body soul. So the whole mourning period is on the head and the arm. The time before mourning, before burial, the 3 days, the next 4 days, 7 days, the 30-day period, and the 11-month period, all from the Yud itself. See. The world of circles and the world of lines. Now from this, I actually forgot what I was going to say here. We go back to the hand, because we have to wrap up the hand. And what do we do on the hand? We're standing up now. See? And we wrap up the hand with 3 wraps on the finger, and then rest in here, the straps. You make a yud, a shin, and a dalet on the hand for Shaddai, but that's another story. We make a yud on the hand, a yud on the yad. And so what the whole point of this video is to show that the arm tefillin, being wrapped in the Yud after you stand up, completes the arm tefillin, because these were the 3 higher aspects of the soul. The Yehida, the Chaya, and the Neshama. Those are the 3 higher aspects of the soul that are in the hand. That can be received down here in the Bria world when you're receiving the bracha, and then you stand up for the Atziliyut world, but you complete your hand tefillin in the Atziliyut world standing up. And so it only proves that the Yud is of that level. And the Yud in the arm is higher than the head tefillin. It's called an ot, and the head isn't. It's called a totafot. And so the point is, the hand tefillin, the arm tefillin, the yud there, where you have sometimes people wear a box on it because it's your arm, it's yours. It's an internalization of this aspect, This is not necessarily like the head is worn out. This is worn in. Now this head tefillin is obviously the two horns, two kerens, or the two shofars of the ayil. There was a substitute for Yitzhak, you see. And the straight the straight and the curve. There will be a curved horn and a straight horn, and I forget right now. One of them in the future. Of course, this is the sign of man, and may I say, this is why I suggest that people should be wearing, Jewish men should be wearing tefillin all day long. Tefillin is the sign of a Jewish person. Yarmulke is kind of a custom, but tefillin is the sign of a Jewish man. And so if you're doing things in the street or protecting or whatever you're doing, instead of being fearful, be what you are. Let it shine. And so these are some of the things. I have some other things I want to talk about, but for the time being, man should wear tefillin all day long.